today's show, Tesla buys an ultracapacitor firm in the form of Maxwell Technologies, an electric version of the Ford F150 Ute may be closer than you think, and we discover just how much of an impact the Tesla Model 3 and other plug-ins have had on Toyota Prius sales. These stories and more coming next. This is Ecotricity's ecoTEC roundup show from New Zealand's only carboNZero certified renewable electricity company. We're 100% Kiwi and 50% community owned. Switch today at ecotricity.co.nz. Hi there folks, another weekend is here, which means it's time for another roundup show from yours truly. Thanks for joining me. Tesla announced plans this week to acquire Maxwell Technologies in a deal estimated to be worth $218 million. Known for its ultracapacitor technology, it's one of the world leaders in the sphere, Maxwell is no stranger to lithium-ion batteries either. Last year, it published a paper on so-called dry electrodes for lithium-ion cells that offer superior energy density and enhanced battery life, something that probably piqued Tesla's interest in an acquisition. At the same time, ultracapacitors could lead to reduced charging times for future models. The Renault-Nissan-Mitsubishi alliance is in the final stages of talks with Alphabet's self-driving arm Waymo regarding a collaboration into self-driving car services. That's according to sources close to the companies in question, who told the Nikkei this week of the discussions. Nothing has been officially announced yet, but given that both Fiat Chrysler and Jaguar Land Rover have worked with Waymo in the past, a tie-up with Renault, Nissan and Mitsubishi doesn't seem all that far-fetched, especially if, as rumours suggest, the tie-up is involving autonomous taxi and autonomous mobility services. Tesla has begun official deliveries of Model 3 in Europe, and this week we've already heard the good news that European spec Model 3s are happily charging at CCS quick charging stations at power levels in excess of 110 kilowatts. While deliveries to mainland Europe are underway, however, all Model 3s being delivered do have autopilot turned off, despite Model S and Model X having autopilot in the EU. This is a temporary hiccup caused by the type approval process, where it seems the car itself is type approved for sale, but autopilot type approval for Model 3 hasn't yet been completed. For the last few months, we've heard plenty of rumours about a possible electric version of the popular Ford F150 pickup truck. This week, a spy shot of what appears to be a camouflaged prototype plug-in F150 attached to a charging station surfaced. While there appears to be a tailpipe on this vehicle, it may not be real. Automakers have used fake tailpipes before to confuse spy photographers, and the cable plugged into the truck's front bumper seems to be thicker than the standard level 2 cable you'd expect of a plug-in hybrid. As usual though, I can't share the photos here, but I've linked them in the show notes. Nissan's NV200 minivan will become an all-electric model from the end of this summer. Sort of. That's according to Nissan, which says that demand is high for its electric NV200s, but not for its internal combustion engine variants in Europe and Japan. We know for sure the ENV200 will become the only choice in European and Japanese markets, but upon reaching out to Nissan North America for comment, I wasn't able to get a confirmation that the same was true on this side of the Atlantic. Since the NV200 in North America has a different set of drivetrains and engines, and isn't offered as an electric model, the jury is unfortunately out on this one. Honda may only have one electric model on the market right now, the short-range Honda Clarity EV, but it's been talking up its future electric car plans with increasing energy for the last year or so, at the same time as cooling down its hydrogen fuel cell vehicle enthusiasm. This week, it made the next step towards an electric future by signing a memorandum of understanding with the Chinese company CATL, that's Contemporary Amperex Technology Limited, to purchase a supply of 56 gigawatt-hours of lithium-ion batteries for use in its vehicles by 2027. The agreement is primarily for Asian market manufacture of EVs. Ahead of its planned initial public offering, rideshare service Lyft has gone one step further from last year's commitment to becoming totally carbon neutral. It's giving customers the ability to specify an electric or hybrid vehicle for their next ride. Called Green Mode, Lyft riders in Seattle can now request their Lyft is in a greener car, but the option will be rolled out to other cities. At the same time, Lyft has also expanded its driver programs to allow Lyft drivers to rent an electric car with unlimited charging included, helping them to lower their operating costs and green up their service. As Tesla Model 3 sales have risen in the last 12 months across the US, Toyota hasn't been shy in admitting that its Prius liftback has been feeling a massive drop in customer interest. This week, however, we learned how bad that drop was in January alone, with Toyota publishing sales data that shows it sold less than 57% of its Prius liftbacks in January this year when compared to last. Toyota Camry sales also fell. While it's likely that Model 3 did have a massive impact on this, it is worth noting that SUV and pickup sales are on the rise across the board due to dropping fuel prices. But it is time to get more plugs on things, Toyota. Electrify America announced this week that it will be adding Tesla power packs to more than 100 of its electric car charging sites across the US. The goal? To help smooth its own grid draw at high-demand sites. This will help Electrify America avoid some of the demand charges that come from pulling high currents from the electricity grid on an irregular schedule. Each site will have a 350 kilowatt-hour power pack installation that will be capable of delivering a peak power of 210 kilowatts. Due to the modular nature of Tesla's design, more power packs can be added in the future as required. Continuing its drive towards a more affordable Model 3, Tesla announced a $1,100 price cut on the current entry-level Model 3. That's the Tesla Model 3 mid-range, not the standard range, in current levels of US federal tax credits for Tesla customers. And what he says is, quote, fuel savings. Tesla CEO Elon Musk says the Model 3 now starts at approximately $35,000. Which, to be frank, is a little creative in the mathematics department. But it does show that the more affordable $35,000 before incentive standard range Model 3 is getting closer to production. Sadly, however, it also doesn't tell us how close we are to getting the Model 3 in New Zealand or other right-hand drive countries. I think it's going to be a wait. Mitsubishi's Outlander plug-in hybrid has been a popular choice for plug-in customers in the UK for many years, but now there's a commercial version for Brits to buy too. With rear seats removed and the interior toughened up for commercial use, Mitsubishi says the commercial Outlander plug-in hybrid will be great for city deliveries in zero or low emission zones, but if I'm honest, I can see plenty of other applications for it too, like the many rural veterinarians who need vehicles capable of off-road driving but may also want to do their bit for the planet as well. Thanks to UK commercial vehicle plug-in car grants, the on-the-road price for this new workhorse is just over £25,000. That's a lot cheaper than the passenger version. Chevrolet might get criticised for not doing enough to promote its Bolt EV electric car, especially in some US markets where the pickup is king. But this week we learned an ongoing fuel shortage in Mexico has meant that Chevy has been pushing the Chevy Bolt EV really hard. One of its tricks? To bring the Bolt EV to gas stations where people were waiting for a chance to fill up. Add that to a social media campaign targeting those fed up with all the fuel shortages, and Chevy says it's seeing some significant new customer interest across the board. And finally, Archimoto, the Oregon company behind the two-seat, three-wheeled all-electric trike that it likes to call a fun utility vehicle, or FUV, has been slowly ramping up its production lines for the last year or so. But now it's announced a new special edition of the same called the FUV Evergreen Edition. More expensive than the standard model, it has heated seats, heated hand grips, Bluetooth speakers, removable doors, and lockable rear storage. The price, a cool $19,900, which, if I'm honest, makes it a whole lot less interesting than it would be if it was just $10,000. And on that note, I'm going to say goodbye. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Tell your friends about the show. And if you've got feedback, well, send it our way. As usual, make sure you hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on a single episode. And while you're at it, why not switch to New Zealand's only carboNZero certified renewable electricity company? Do your bit and ditch those emissions for 2019 and go completely carboNZero. Thanks for joining me. I'm Nikki Gordon-Bloomfield. Ka kite. See you next time.